Hi, again. So we've talked about voiced sounds, we've talked about unvoiced sounds. Now we are going to use that to practice pronunciation of past tense verbs in English. So let's begin. So when we have the past tense for regular verbs, it is always ed, right? So now ed has three different sounds. Ed can be pronounced t, ed can be pronounced d, and ed can also be pronounced as id or ed. So let's look at some examples. So here the verb is walk, and if we're talking about yesterday, we would say like this: I walked. So that's t. Now, snow, let's say last winter it snowed. I hope you heard it. It is d, snowed. Now here we've got the sound taste, and when we say taste, yesterday I ate pizza. It tasted good. So there's an id sound. Let's look at this one. So the verb is add, and so I would say like this: if I added 2 plus 2, I would get 4. So add is also id sound. So now, how can we tell when to use t, d, or id? Well, luckily, there is a very easy explanation for that. So, how a verb ends tells you the sound of ed. So here, here's the rule. If it ends in an unvoiced sound, we use the sound t to pronounce ed. If it ends in a voiced sound, it ends with d. And the last one, if it ends in t or d, the sound is id. So let's look here. So the verb is walk. The final sound of the verb is k. K is unvoiced, so ed sounds like t, walked. Snow. The last sound is o. O is a voiced sound, so the ed sounds like d. Snowed. Now here's the last rule. If a verb ends with the sound t or d, we use id. So the verb taste, the last sound, t, taste, is t. So we use id to pronounce ed, tasted. In the verb add, the last sound is d. So d, we use id, and we would say added. So let's do some practice. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the verb, the final sound, the past tense verb, and the ed sound. So here, let's say it together. Wait. The last sound is t. The past verb is waited. The ed sound is id. So let's look at this. Cry. The last sound is I. So that's that. I. So the past verb is this. Cried. The last sound, the ed sound, is d. Next one. The verb is like. K is the last sound. K is unvoiced, so we would say, excuse me, liked. The ed sound is t. This one, mix. The last sound is x. Here's the spelling. X is unvoiced, so mixed sounds like t because it's unvoiced. The verb play. A is the last sound. A is voiced, so we would say played. Played. The last sound is d. Here's another verb. Help. Help. The last sound is p. So we have help. So p is unvoiced. Unvoiced goes with t. Pronunciation, helped. Here's a verb, study. The last sound is e, so we could write that like this. E, E. So here, E is voiced. Voiced goes with d, so the last sound would be d. Studied. Here's another one, count. The last sound is t. T always goes with id. So here, counted. Counted. Here's another one, shop. The last sound is p. Here we've got the spelling. And p is unvoiced, so ed sounds like t. Another verb, open. The sound is n. N is voiced. Voiced goes with d. So the verb would be opened. Opened. Last one, enjoy. The sound is oi. Oi is voiced. So voiced goes with d. Or d, sorry. The sound is d, so we would say enjoyed. So, to review. Past tense, ed, can sound like t, d, or id. When a verb ends with an unvoiced sound, it goes with t. If it ends in a voiced sound, it goes with d. And if it ends with t or d, the sound is id. So, now you guys will do some practice on this page and do well. Okay, bye.